So Stanley has been in a lot of cameos, but which ones come out on top? Today we are going to be discussing the top 5 MCU cameos from Stan the Man Lee. Yo, what is going on, guys? Matthew V. Haynes here, aka The Clockmaster. As I've said, we're going to be discussing the top 5 MCU cameos from Stan the Man Lee. As I've said in a live stream that I've done with the Council of the Blurs, and one that I did right after the death of Stan Lee, may he rest in peace, and my condolences to his family and friends and those who were close to him. He will definitely be missed, and I think a better way to really honor him is to just go through some of his cameos and pick out the top 5. Now, this list was kind of hard for me because it's a couple of things went through. It didn't hit me until today because I actually found myself tearing up while watching these cameos, and I had to actually take a break and, like, you know, because I was actually crying. It reminded me of a lot of personal things, a lot of stories of, like, my childhood, you know, with everything surrounding Stanley, and it didn't hit me until today. And another reason why it was so hard was because a lot of these cameos are really great. Some of them were easy to kind of wither out and be like, you know what, it's not that good to add on the list, but these top 5 for me definitely stood out. So if you guys don't agree with my top 5 list, you let me know in the comment section down below what you believe are the top 5 cameos that Stanley made. Now, with that said, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new and you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this. Let's get into this top 5. Coming in at number 5 for me was Ironman 2008.
Hey Tony, remember me?
Sure don't. Look great, Hef.
As you saw in the cameo, Tony Stark walked by and touched him on the shoulder and said, you know, he called him Hefner, and he just turns around and, you know, just looks around. I just thought that scene in particular was funny. We mentioned it in the Council of Blurs podcast yesterday, and he didn't say anything in that scene at all, but just him being associated with Hugh Hefner was super funny, and just him turning around, it was a great cameo. Coming in at number 4 is a forgotten one, actually, and this is a really high forgotten one, but it's Hulk 2003.
Good morning, Dr. Krensler. Security ought to be beefed up a lot more in a place like this.
Now, in this cameo, you see Lou Ferrigno and Stanley walking out, and they're talking about it needs more security. I just laughed my butt off because I didn't even remember this cameo until I was doing my research into this. And I'm watching it, and just him talking, just casually talking about the security, and it's iconic to seeing Lou Ferrigno, who once played the Hulk, and Stanley, who, you know, co-created this character, walking out of the building in a Hulk movie was such a great cameo. Coming in at number 3, and I was debating on whether this one should be my number 1 or not, but coming in at number 3 is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 cameo.
Oh, man. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, at that time, I was a Federal Express man.
Hey, fellas. Hey, wait, where are you going? Hey, you were supposed to be my lift home. How'll I get out of here? Hey, gee, I've got so many more stories to tell. Guys. Oh, gee.
So as we saw, Stanley's up in space on some asteroid speaking with the Watchers, and he's kind of giving a timeline story as to all his, you know, the different careers he had throughout his cameo history, and he's talking about being a FedEx man, and, you know, and I just thought that scene was really funny in general. I'm like, I was asking myself, how on earth would this man even end up there? And he's talking about all his jobs, and they left him up there to, you know, to strand. So that I just thought that was a nice, cool, funny scene. Coming in at number 2 is the Avengers Age of Ultron cameo.
This was aged for 1,000 years. The barrels built from the wreck of Grunhill's fleet is not meant for mortal men.
Neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie. Stop trying to scare us. Come on.
All right.
Excelsior.
No matter how many times I've seen this cameo, no matter how many times I've seen this movie, this scene in particular will always make me, like, just make me crack up, because it's like, you just imagine, you know, you, Stanley, and I've seen, like, we all have that one uncle or that one friend that's either been in the army or an old head or somebody who's just been, you know, they're tough and they had some mileage on them, and they're sitting down and they're like, man, look, man, that ain't nothing, bro. You don't know what hard work is. You don't know what that is. And then he drinks it and he's like, Excelsior. Like, I just thought that reminded me so much of a lot of things I've seen. That seems just extremely hilarious. Now, before I get to my number 1, I just wanted to mention an honorable mention. I I said mention twice. And I just wanted to mention this. I don't watch this show at all or seen this episode, but I have seen this scene, and while the accent in this scene from the woman in this, whatever that's going on here, it's very cringy and very awkward to listen to, this cameo was still funny in my opinion towards the end, and it's the reason you'll see.
To be with you at our 2-story Victorian home in the Cotswolds. But could you even give her a moment? What with your banking job requiring you to travel to the States from Tuesday to Saturday every other week? No!
I'm terribly sorry about your loss, dear. As for you, now is your chance to do better. Why don't you see that you take it?
Thank you, sir.
Let's go.
So what made that cameo really funny to me was just the fact that not so much what Stanley's saying or what's going on, because there's nothing too crazy going on in that scene, but Stanley walking through, he just has 2 girls on the side of him. It makes you question, like, what's this man doing? Like, this man just chilling, walking through the train, just had like 2 girls on the side with him. Like what's he up to? Like, what's he doing? So I just thought that was funny. All right, now the moment you guys have all been waiting for, coming in at number 1 for the best Stanley cameo, in my opinion, goes to Captain America: Civil War.
You okay?
Are you Tony Stank?
Yes, this is Tony Stank.
Like, come on now, man. The ending of that movie, him walking around being a FedEx man again, saying, package for Tony Stank. You know, like, that would be one of the most memorable things for me, one of the most memorable lines this man has made in any of the movies. Calling Tony Stark Tony Stank, and I could see how it actually can be spelled Tony Stank. Like, just him being old and trying to read the names, says Tony Stank. That was very funny. Well, there we have it, guys. My top 5 best cameos from Stanley in the MCU. If you guys didn't agree with my list, I didn't want to do a top 10 because that I would have been forever. Top 5 was easier for me to kind of compile last minute. So if you guys have your own top 5, let me know in the comments down below. As I've said, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and I will leave you guys with a message from Stan Lee if you haven't heard it already.
A comic book is one of the most effective ways to make a young person realize that reading is fun, it's enjoyable. Once they read comics and like them, they begin to equate printed matter on the pages of a book with enjoyment.
When you write a story, you have so many options. One of the options is to make the good guy the one that the reader would want to emulate rather than the bad guy. And the more the young reader likes the hero and admires the hero, and the more the hero does good things, subliminally the kid absorbs these things. Marvel has always been and always will be a reflection of the world right outside our window. That world may change and evolve, but the one thing that will never change is the way we tell our stories of heroism. Those stories have room for everyone, regardless of their race, gender, religion, or color of their skin. The only things we don't have room for are hatred, intolerance, and bigotry. That man next to you, he's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister. And that kid walking by, hey, who knows? He may have the proportionate strength of a spider. We're all part of one big family, the human family, and we all come together in the body of Marvel. And you're part of that family. You're part of the Marvel universe that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory. In other words, Excelsior!